What if I told you that being single after a long relationship isn't just okay? It might actually be the best thing that's ever happened to you. Forget the stereotypes about loneliness or starting over. Being single could unlock a life that's richer, freer, and more fulfilling than ever before. Imagine this: no more emotional labor, no more negotiating over every little decision, and complete control over your time, your money, and your space. You're finally free to rediscover yourself, to travel the world on your terms, dive into passions you've ignored for decades, and create relationships that truly add value to your life. And here's the kicker: science and experience show that this newfound independence isn't just liberating, it's deeply rewarding. In this video, I'm going to share 15 powerful reasons why life can be better when you're single, inspired by wisdom that stood the test of time. You'll discover how this stage of life can be a springboard to freedom, growth, and happiness. Whether you're navigating this journey by choice or circumstance, stay with me. It's time to embrace this chapter of your life and unlock the endless possibilities waiting for you. 1. Rediscovering old hobbies and exploring new ones. When I found myself single after decades of being in a relationship, I felt both a sense of loss and an unexpected sense of freedom. At first, I didn't know what to do with all the time I suddenly had. But then I remembered something Marcus Aurelius once wrote: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That wisdom helped me shift my focus inward to the things I could control, like how I spent my time. I started thinking about the hobbies I used to love but had set aside. I remembered how much joy I found in painting when I was younger. Back then, I'd lose myself in the colors and shapes, completely present in the moment. So I decided to pick it up again. I bought some brushes and paints, set up a small corner in my living room, and began. The strokes on the canvas became a form of meditation, a reminder that life's beauty is often found in simplicity. I also gave myself permission to try something completely new. I'd always been curious about yoga, so I joined a beginner's class. It wasn't just about flexibility. It became a lesson in mindfulness and gratitude for what my body could still do. Seneca's words echoed in my mind: "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Rediscovering hobbies and exploring new interests has been one of the most liberating aspects of being single. It reminded me that life isn't about what I've lost, but about what I can still create and experience. Each day is an opportunity to grow, to embrace curiosity, and to find joy in the small, meaningful things that bring me closer to myself. 2. Opportunity to travel freely. When I became single, I realized how much freedom I had to finally travel the way I wanted. In the past, trips were always a negotiation: destinations, schedules, even where to eat. But now, I could explore places I'd dreamed of without compromise. Epictetus's reminder came to mind: freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. I decided to plan a solo trip, something I had never done before. My first destination was a quiet coastal town I'd always wanted to visit. Without needing to align plans with someone else's preferences, I could spend hours wandering through local markets, sitting on the beach with a good book, or simply enjoying the stillness. The solitude wasn't lonely, it was empowering. One of the most enlightening parts of traveling alone was discovering how resourceful I could be. I navigated unfamiliar streets, figured out new public transit systems, and even made friends with locals. Seneca's words resonated deeply. Everywhere is nowhere. When a person spends all their time in foreign travel, they end by having many acquaintances, but no friends. I realized that true travel isn't just about seeing new places. It's about forming meaningful connections with others and with yourself. Traveling freely helped me reconnect with my inner compass. It reminded me that life's richness comes not from what others plan for you, but from the paths you choose for yourself. Each trip became not just a journey to a new place, but a step toward becoming the person I wanted to be: curious, independent, and grateful for the world's endless possibilities. 3. Living life on your own terms. When you're in a long-term relationship, life often becomes a series of compromises. What to watch, where to live, how to spend your weekends, all of it involves negotiation. But when I became single, I realized I could finally design my life around my own desires. It was exhilarating and a little daunting. The words of Marcus Aurelius grounded me. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. I began to ask myself what truly made me happy. I found that I loved slow mornings with coffee and journaling, weekends spent hiking, and nights diving into books I'd always meant to read. No one else's schedule dictated mine. I didn't have to justify my choices or feel guilty for indulging in what brought me joy. This freedom extended to my larger goals as well. For years, I'd wanted to start a small garden, but I always deferred to what my partner wanted for our shared space. Now, I had a patch of earth entirely my own. Tending to it became a metaphor for my new life. I was finally planting seeds for myself, nurturing my own growth. Living on my own terms taught me the power of self-reliance. As Seneca said, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." By stripping away the need to conform to someone else's expectations, I found clarity in what truly mattered to me. Life wasn't just simpler, it was fuller, richer, and deeply aligned with my own values. For the first time, I was living entirely for myself, and it felt incredible. 4. Your home, your sanctuary. When I became single, I realized my home was now truly mine. For years, I had shared decisions about furniture, decor, and how spaces were used. While those compromises were part of a shared life, they often left me feeling like my home didn't fully reflect who I was. Now, I could transform my space into a sanctuary. As Epictetus said, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." Having control over my space helped ease those imagined anxieties. I started small, painting walls in colors that brought me joy and rearranging furniture to create a sense of calm. I carved out a cozy reading nook by the window, filled my kitchen with tools for cooking meals I loved, and turned a spare room into an art studio. These changes weren't just about aesthetics. They were about creating a space that felt deeply personal, one that nurtured my peace of mind. This newfound freedom extended to how I lived in my home. If I wanted to stay up late, binge-watching documentaries, I could. If I felt like leaving the dishes until morning, there was no one to judge me. My home became a reflection of my values and priorities, a place of stillness and creativity. Seneca's wisdom often echoed in my mind. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. In reclaiming my home, I discovered the joy of living fully in the present. My sanctuary wasn't just a physical space, it was a mindset of contentment and peace that I carried with me every day. 5. Financial independence. One of the most liberating aspects of being single was taking full control of my finances. I no longer needed to negotiate spending, save for someone else's priorities, or compromise on long-term goals. My financial decisions were mine alone, and that brought a sense of empowerment I hadn't experienced before. Marcus Aurelius's words guided me. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. With financial freedom, I could focus my energy on what truly mattered to me. I started by re-evaluating my budget and making deliberate choices about how I spent my money. I invested in experiences that enriched my life, like travel, classes, and hobbies. At the same time, I prioritized long-term goals, such as saving for retirement and building a safety net. Every decision felt intentional and aligned with my personal values. The freedom to manage my money also allowed me to give back in meaningful ways. I donated to causes I cared about without needing to explain or justify my choices to anyone else. As Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Financial independence gave me the clarity to see that I didn't need more. I just needed to use what I had in a way that brought me fulfillment. Taking charge of my finances wasn't just about money. It was about reclaiming my autonomy. I learned to trust my own judgment, plan for my future, and enjoy the freedom that comes from knowing I was in complete control of my resources. 6. Simpler, more liberating intimacy. One unexpected benefit of being single was how much simpler intimacy became. In my past relationships, intimacy was often entangled with emotional complexities, unspoken expectations, negotiations, and compromises. Now, I was free to define intimacy on my own terms. This shift felt profoundly liberating. As Seneca wisely noted, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Free from the imagined obligations of partnership, I discovered a new kind of joy. I no longer felt pressure to meet someone else's needs or navigate their emotional states to maintain closeness. Instead, I could focus on what I truly wanted. If I chose to pursue a connection, it was because it brought me genuine happiness, not because I felt obligated to maintain it. For the first time, I understood the value of intimacy as a choice, not a duty. Whether I sought companionship or chose to focus on my own personal growth, every decision was mine to make. This freedom allowed me to engage in relationships with clarity and intention without the baggage of unmet expectations. Living without the weight of those emotional entanglements gave me more energy to invest in myself. I learned to find fulfillment in the things I loved, writing, painting, and simply enjoying the peace of my own company. The simplicity of this new approach to intimacy was a gift that reminded me of Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. By redefining intimacy, I removed unnecessary distress and embraced a life of greater clarity and joy. 7. No more emotional labor. One of the most significant changes I experienced after becoming single was the relief of no longer being responsible for someone else's emotional well-being. In relationships, I often found myself managing not only my own emotions, but also soothing my partner's anxieties, resolving conflicts, and maintaining harmony in the household. While I once accepted this as part of love, I realized how draining it could be. Epictetus's advice came to mind. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Being single allowed me to redirect all that emotional energy inward. I began to focus on my mental health, practicing mindfulness and exploring what brought me peace and joy. Without the constant need to manage someone else's emotions, I discovered a lighter, freer version of myself. This freedom also improved the quality of my relationships with friends and family. When I wasn't weighed down by emotional labor, I could engage more authentically and give from a place of abundance rather than obligation. As Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Letting go of emotional caretaking wasn't just brave, it was transformative. The absence of this invisible burden gave me space to build healthier relationships, ones based on mutual respect and support rather than caretaking. I learned that true love, whether romantic or platonic, doesn't require sacrificing your peace for someone else's. Instead, it thrives when both people take responsibility for their own emotions. 8. A stronger sense of self. After years of being in a relationship, I realized I had lost touch with who I was. My identity had become so intertwined with my role as a partner that I'd forgotten what truly made me happy. Becoming single gave me the chance to rediscover myself. Marcus Aurelius's words guided me. "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." I began by asking myself simple but profound questions. What do I enjoy? What do I value? What kind of life do I want to live? I explored hobbies, reconnected with old friends, and even tried new activities that I never had time for before. Slowly but surely, I started to feel more like myself. Being single also taught me to trust my own decisions. Without someone else's input or validation, I learned to rely on my instincts and preferences. This built a deeper confidence in myself and my ability to create a life that felt fulfilling. Seneca's words became a mantra. "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." Through this process, I developed a stronger sense of self. I no longer felt defined by external roles or relationships. Instead, I felt grounded in my own identity, living a life that reflected my values and passions. The journey wasn't always easy, but it was deeply rewarding, and it reminded me that the most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. 9. The gift of peace and quiet. One of the greatest blessings of being single was discovering the power of peace and quiet. When I was in a relationship, my home was always filled with activity, whether it was conversations, TV noise, or just the hum of shared living. While companionship was meaningful, I often longed for moments of stillness. Becoming single gave me exactly that. At first, the quiet felt strange, almost unsettling. But as I adjusted, I began to savor it. I could wake up in the morning and enjoy my coffee without interruptions. I could sit by the window and listen to the rain, or take long solitary walks in the park. These moments of solitude became opportunities to reflect, recharge, and simply be. Epictetus's wisdom resonated with me. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. I realized that my initial discomfort with silence wasn't about the quiet itself. It was about my perception of it. Once I embraced it, peace and quiet became a source of immense joy. This stillness also allowed me to cultivate mindfulness. I could focus entirely on the present moment, free from the distractions of a shared life. Over time, I discovered that these quiet moments were some of the most fulfilling parts of my day. They reminded me that happiness isn't always about doing, it's often about simply being. 10. Building a social life on your terms. When I was in a relationship, much of my social life revolved around shared friends, couples gatherings, and events that often catered to my partner's interests as much as mine. Becoming single gave me the opportunity to redefine how, when, and with whom I spent my time. This newfound freedom felt both empowering and liberating. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. I applied this to my relationships, choosing to surround myself with people who uplifted and inspired me. I reconnected with old friends and sought out new ones who shared my interests and values. Whether it was joining a book club, attending community events, or taking a cooking class, I prioritized connections that felt meaningful. For the first time in years, I didn't have to attend events or engage with people out of obligation. This intentional approach to my social life also helped me set boundaries. If I needed time alone, I didn't feel pressured to explain or justify it. Seneca's wisdom guided me. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. By choosing friendships that added value to my life, I found a deeper sense of fulfillment. Being single allowed me to take control of my social calendar and focus on relationships that truly mattered. It wasn't about the quantity of connections, it was about the quality. This shift not only brought me closer to others, but also closer to myself. 11. Prioritizing health and wellness. When I was in a relationship, my health often took a back seat to the demands of shared life. Dinners out, accommodating someone else's schedule, or simply neglecting self-care in the hustle of daily routines. Once I became single, I realized I had the time and freedom to prioritize my health in ways I never had before. I started by focusing on my physical health. I joined a gym and took up yoga, activities I'd always wanted to try but had never made time for. I began cooking meals that nourished my body and experimenting with new recipes that were both healthy and enjoyable. Marcus Aurelius's words encouraged me. You must take care of your soul if you would have your head in order. My mental health also became a priority. I embraced practices like meditation and journaling, which helped me process emotions and find clarity. I even sought therapy to work through lingering challenges, an act of self-love that strengthened my resilience and emotional well-being. Seneca's wisdom reminded me to focus on what I could control. A man's as miserable as he thinks he is. By taking charge of my health, I felt stronger and more in control of my life. Prioritizing wellness wasn't just about looking or feeling good. It was about building a foundation for a longer, more fulfilling life. The freedom to focus entirely on my well-being transformed my outlook. I learned that caring for myself wasn't selfish, it was essential. And with every small step I took, I felt more empowered to live fully and joyfully. 12. Rediscovering old hobbies and exploring new interests. One of the most fulfilling aspects of being single was rediscovering hobbies I'd set aside and trying new activities I'd always been curious about. When I was married, my time and energy were often devoted to shared responsibilities or accommodating someone else's preferences. But now, I had the freedom to explore what truly brought me joy. I dusted off my old guitar, an instrument I hadn't touched in years, and started relearning songs I used to love. I also took up painting, finding peace in the rhythm of brushstrokes and the vibrant colors coming to life on the canvas. As Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." With this new chapter, I committed to using my time intentionally. I also embraced the opportunity to try new things. I signed up for a photography workshop and joined a hiking group, discovering passions I didn't know I had. These activities weren't just about passing time, they were about reconnecting with myself and cultivating a sense of purpose. The process of rediscovery taught me that life is full of possibilities, no matter your age or circumstances. With each new hobby or skill, I felt a sense of accomplishment and joy that reminded me of the limitless potential within us all. 13. Embracing freedom. When I became single, I experienced a kind of freedom I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't just about being able to make decisions on my own. It was about rediscovering the ability to live life exactly how I wanted. This shift reminded me of Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. Do not be constrained by the external. Seek the freedom within yourself. For years I had balanced the needs and preferences of someone else, often putting my own desires on the back burner. Now, I could finally prioritize what mattered most to me. I embraced spontaneous choices, like going on a last-minute road trip, spending an entire day lost in a book, or pursuing a new passion without worrying about anyone else's schedule. This freedom also extended to my mindset. I no longer felt tethered to societal expectations or the pressure to conform to a specific role. Instead, I focused on living authentically and intentionally. Seneca's words guided me. He who is brave is free. Being single gave me the courage to step into a new chapter of my life, unafraid of the unknown. The beauty of this freedom wasn't just in the big decisions, it was in the everyday moments. I could listen to my intuition, follow my curiosity, and build a life that reflected my values. Embracing this independence taught me that true happiness comes from within, not from external circumstances. It was a reminder that life's possibilities are endless when you take control of your own path. 14. No more. Negotiating the small stuff. One of the most surprising joys of being single was the simplicity of everyday life. In a relationship, even the smallest decisions, what to eat for dinner, what time to go to bed, or how to spend the weekend, often required negotiation. While compromise can be healthy, it can also be exhausting. Being single eliminated those constant discussions, leaving me free to make choices based solely on my preferences. I found a strange but profound satisfaction in deciding to eat cereal for dinner just because I felt like it, or staying up late binge-watching documentaries without worrying about waking someone else. These small freedoms may seem trivial, but they added up to a life that felt more relaxed and enjoyable. Marcus Aurelius's advice rang true. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. When I was single, I didn't have to justify my actions or second-guess my decisions based on someone else's opinion. Living without these daily negotiations allowed me to focus on what truly mattered. It wasn't about rebelling against compromise. It was about honoring my own needs and desires. Over time, I realized how much energy I had saved by not constantly accommodating someone else, and I was able to channel that energy into my passions and personal growth. 15. The gift of peace and quiet. One of the greatest, most unexpected gifts of being single was the ability to enjoy peace and quiet whenever I wanted. In a relationship, there was always background noise, conversations, shared activities, or the hum of daily life together. While I valued companionship, I often found myself craving stillness. When I became single, I finally had the space to enjoy moments of true solitude. I'd wake up to quiet mornings, sip my coffee slowly, and watch the sunrise without a single interruption. I could spend afternoons reading, journaling, or simply sitting in silence. These moments weren't lonely. They were deeply rejuvenating. Seneca's wisdom guided me. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. I realized that peace wasn't something I needed to seek outside myself. It was already there, waiting for me to embrace it. This quiet time became a way to reflect and recharge, helping me cultivate mindfulness and gratitude for the simplicity of life. It also deepened my appreciation for the beauty of the present moment. The gift of peace and quiet wasn't just about having less noise. It was about finding clarity and calm in the stillness of my own company. So, there you have it. 15 powerful reasons why being single again isn't just a new chapter. It's an opportunity to create a life that's truly your own. Whether it's embracing freedom, rediscovering old passions, or building deeper connections, this stage of life is filled with possibilities you might not have imagined. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these reasons resonated most with you? Are you currently embracing the single life, or is it something you're considering? Share your thoughts and takeaways in the comments below. I read every one and can't wait to hear your stories. If you found this video inspiring or helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more content about living a life full of freedom, growth, and wisdom. And if you think someone else might benefit from hearing this message, share this video with them. It might just change their perspective. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.